The following are basic setup instructions for your 6,000 amp liquid-cooled spot welder. When you receive your unit, examine the packaging for damage. If everything appears intact, go ahead and remove the outer packaging. There are 4 boxes which can be removed: the main unit, the cart, the coolant circulator, and the coolant. Remove the cart from the box and remove the 2 sets of bolts, nuts, and washers from the surface of the cart. These will be used to secure the unit to the cart. Now open the box that contains the main unit. Remove the power cord and set aside. Then remove the box that contains the weld cable assembly and hardware. With assistance, lift the unit from the box and set it on top of the cart. Line up the holes in the bottom of the unit with the holes in the cart and secure using the 2 bolts supplied. Remove the 4 screws from the back of the main unit and attach the cable support bracket. Now remove the coolant circulator from its box and slide it into position on the cart and connect the power cord to the corresponding receptacle on the back of the main unit. At this point, you are ready to attach the weld cable assembly to the front of the machine. Remove the cable assembly from the box and, using the supplied hardware, firmly attach the lugs to each of the transformer connections on the front of the machine. You are now ready to put the coolant in the circulator. First, prime the circulator by removing the red cap on the pump and filling until full. This will take approximately 1 quart. Then take all remaining coolant and pour into the fill tube located on the tank. Attach the 2 coolant connectors to the 2 corresponding connectors on the circulator and connect the air line to the connector on the front of the machine. Your unit is now ready for use. With the power switch in the off position, plug the welder into the intended receptacle. Hook up your shop air to the regulator, plug in the trigger cord, and then turn the power switch to the on position. You should immediately hear the circulator running, and momentarily you should see the coolant flowing back into the tank through the fill tube. This is important, as it is the indicator that coolant is flowing all the way through the system. To operate the weld cycle, first make sure the air regulator is set at 70 psi and the auto close is on auto. Also, make sure the cable selector switch is on the squeeze type setting. Make sure to use the appropriate personal safety gear. The metal to be welded must be ground clean on the outsides where the tips will make contact. Set the weld time adjustment on 3. Clamp the 2 pieces of metal with vice grips to shunt the weld current. Locate the position of the first weld with the top electrode. Press and hold the weld button. The tips will close and automatically weld for the time given. To change to the 14-inch extended reach electrodes, make sure the unit is powered off. Loosen the 2 Allen bolts on the castings and remove the existing electrodes. Place the U-shaped electrode in the bottom casting and just tighten the bolt enough to hold it initially. Take the L-shaped electrode and place it in the upper casting. The electrode will not fit all the way into the shoulder. The important thing is to make sure the tips align. Slide the upper electrode out as needed to accomplish this. Once you are confident the electrodes are aligned and straight, firmly tighten the Allen bolts on the upper and lower casting. Disconnect the coolant fitting just behind the welding head and connect to the hose coming from the 14-inch electrodes. Lastly, turn the air pressure up to 120 psi to compensate for any loss of pressure due to longer electrodes. You are now ready to weld. The wheelhouse electrodes install in the same fashion as the standard electrodes do. There are no hose connections to change, and the air regulator should be set between 60 and 70 psi. Again, make sure the tips are properly aligned before use. For further information, contact your local tool and equipment distributor.